We're heading into the final weekend of the Toronto International Film Festival, and as part of the festival's 50th anniversary, a record number of Indigenous feature films are being screened.
My dad, Louis Cameron, was one of the most wanted men in Canada, an outlaw. They called him a terrorist. I call him a warrior.
That's a scene from Ni-Naadamaadiz, Red Power Rising. The documentary tells the story of an Indigenous uprising in northern Ontario in 1975. Residential school survivor Louis Cameron led Ni-Naadamaadiz activists and the Ojibwe Warrior Society to occupy a park near Kenora. The occupation eventually led to Parliament Hill and attracted national and international attention. And I want to welcome Tanya Talaga now. She's a co-writer and producer of the documentary. She joins me here in studio. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that.
It happens.
Tell us more about the film and what you hope audience take away from it.
It's a film about something that Canadians don't really know a lot about, and that is one of the very first land-back occupations since the 1885 Armed Rebellion. This was in 1974 in Anishinaabe Park in Kenora, Ontario. Louis Cameron, who was just coming out of Indian residential school, and him and his friends were as well. They were all young, in their late teens, early 20s. They come back to Kenora and they can't get jobs, they can't get served in restaurants. The police brutality, the racism was really awful. And they decided to occupy a park which our people have used for thousands of years to sort of sit and gather and get together. And that park was taken away and it was made a park by the city of Kenora. And so the youth, led by Louis Cameron and the Ojibwe Warriors Society, decided to occupy the park, and they got some help from the American Indian movement.
Interesting. Okay, and your documentary is one of 8 Indigenous-led films premiering at the festival this year, a new record for TIFF and on its 50th anniversary, no less. How significant is that?
It's amazing. I mean, I can't thank the Indigenous Screen Office enough, and I know we all feel that way. To have 8 films here, and one of the biggest festivals in the world, most important film festivals in the world, it's incredible. We've got films by Gail Maurice, Bloodlines, Nika and Madison by Eva Thomas. They've got Aki by Darlene Neponce. We have so many amazing films, and I know that next year it's going to be even more, and these changes are necessary because we've often only had emphasis on English and French films, in Canada especially, but now we're looking at more Indigenous films, and so it's absolutely needed.
And your film premiered at TIFF last week, and you had another screening last night. Tell us about the kind of reception that it's received. It
was amazing, on Wednesday evening, we had so many people down as well from Kenora. We had Grand Council Treaty 3 Chief Francis Kavanagh here. We had Anishinaabe Aski Nation Chief Alvin Fiddler as well. It was amazing. We had some of the warriors that were in the park 50 years ago, and those that went on the Native caravan from the park to Ottawa to continue the fight for human rights. There were tears, there was pride, and it was an emotional, beautiful evening.
How do you see honoring Indigenous traditions through filmmaking as it relates to truth and reconciliation?
We have a long way to go in this country to get to the truth when we talk about truth and reconciliation. And who better to tell our own stories than us, Indigenous people? Because there hasn't been for so long, the truth hasn't been told. We didn't learn about Anishinaabe Park in school. You probably didn't read about it in any textbooks. You probably didn't even see it on the news because there was hardly any footage of what happened. News organizations didn't cover our stories 50 years ago. Things are changing, and that's why we need Indigenous films and the Indigenous Screen Office to help.
Can you tell me about that? How things are changing, how you feel and see that things are changing in that regard?
Well, there's some technical things that are happening. For instance, in Canada, the CRTC has recognized, well, yes, we need Indigenous programming. And so the Broadcasting Act was actually changed. So there has to be room for Indigenous films. We can no longer be thought of as a program that's, can get some funding one year, and then the next year, if things are going badly with the rest of the budget, we get cut back. That can't happen anymore. So now our films are definitely a part of the zeitgeist. We are here and moving forward.
And so looking ahead to next year, what do you want to see from TIFF and all levels of government in terms of supporting Indigenous filmmaking? You mentioned that aspect of the Broadcasting Act, but beyond.
Yeah, Canada is enriched by our stories. We're such a better country when we include stories from Inuk directors, when we include stories from Métis producers and directors and actors, and First Nations directors and producers. I mean, we have a different perspective on the world, and one that's been forgotten for so long. Our kids want to know this. Our kids want to know, why are we wearing orange shirts in September? What happened at Indian residential schools? And who better, again, to tell that story than people like us who have families that have gone through the systems that have oppressed and almost destroyed us, like the 60s scoop, like Indian residential schools and day schools. And with this film in particular, I was hoping that when our youth go see this film or hear our stories, they're going to feel proud, And that's why it's important that we have 8 Indigenous films, and next year maybe 16, and maybe after that 32. Hopefully it just keeps growing and growing.
Really appreciate you coming and speaking to us about this. Thank you very much.
Miigwech, thanks.
Filmmaker, author, and journalist Tanya Talaga.